This is question 12 on the higher calculator paper. Now let's have a look at this. This is question 12. I have 3 minus 3 less than n less than or equal to 1. N is an integer. Write down all the possible values of n. So all the possible values of n is what I need to find out. Now this is a pretty standard question, but I'm going to write a couple of things here. Integer means whole number. So in the answer space, I need to write a list of whole numbers that n could be. Now this funny symbol, or the way of writing it, just basically says that n is between minus 3 and 1. It's between minus 3 and 1. But because this here is a less than or equal to sign, that means n could also be equal to 1. But because there's no extra line under this less than sign, n can't be equal to minus 3. So to show this clearly, right, and I would do this if I was doing it in an exam, I would draw a number line and put all the numbers from minus 3 to 1. So I'd start minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and then 1. So n could be any of these numbers. However, let's look at the symbol and think about what I said before. Because that's less than or equal to, that means n can be equal to 1. So I'm going to put a solid dot there. But because there's no extra line under that less than sign, that means n cannot be equal to minus 3. So it's any number, it's any whole number between minus 3 and 1, but it can't be equal to minus 3, and it can be equal to 1. So my possible whole numbers that it could be are going to be minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. And that's what I need to write in the answer space. Minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. Those are the possible values that n could take. Then we get to part B. Part B says solve the inequality. Now, when I've done previous questions, or questions similar to this previously, I said ignore that sign. Just put it in there, but treat it as you normally would if it was an equal sign. Just leave it in there as you work through the question. So I'm going to do exactly that. If this was a standard equation with an equal sign there, the first thing I'd do is I'd try to get rid of that minus 7. And the opposite of minus 7 is to add 7. So that will result in 3p left behind here. 11 plus 7 is 18. But remember, that sign just stays there. Don't do anything to it. Don't change it. Don't change its direction. Don't change it to an equal sign. Just leave it there. That 3 is timesing the p. So the opposite of timesing by 3 is to divide by 3. Once I get rid of that 3, all I'm left with is p, and remember the sign stays as it is. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that is my final answer, and that will get me my 2 marks. In the answer space, I'm going to write p is greater than 6. I'm going to just rewrite this in the answer space. That's 2 pretty straightforward marks. Questions like this do phase people. People get confused. They're not sure about the inequalities, and it's one area that you don't see a lot of, and that's why you're a bit unsure about it. The first part, part A, make sure you're familiar with it. It's a pretty easy question. If you know how to do it, it wouldn't take you too long. And part B, a lot of people know how to solve equations. If there was an equal sign there, you'd be able to do it easily. Some people get phased because there isn't an equal sign. So take your time as you're doing it. Make sure you get full marks.